Krishna book, I would like to share one of my pastime with my Guru Maharaj.
The famous Hanamacharaki.
In 1992, after I got initiated, the Kartik Gurudev called me and I stayed with him for 10 days. And the instruction was, do what I tell you to do. Simple. Don't make any plan. So we were chanting 70, 80 rounds with him. And then in the evening, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was holding the class, VIHE class. And that year, 1992, he will play the Vaishnava song on harmonium, and then he will speak on that song, Narottam Das Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, like that. So one day, we have to go every evening. I will have to carry the harmonium for him and bring it back. So one day it was raining. So Gurudev was holding the umbrella for both of us. It was a big umbrella, so it was good. And I will have to carry the harmonium. And you know, I carry the harmonium in the front, so I cannot see. I can see little like a 4 or 5 feet ahead of me. But when it comes right below my feet, I cannot see nothing. So in the puddle, I put my feet. Gurudev says, Shyamsundar, I will have to teach you even how to walk. That was something far out. But I was lucky that it didn't spill on his dhoti, you know. Krishna saved me. Otherwise, he can get upset. So we will reading this wonderful chapter 29 from the second book of Krishna, Sacrificial Ceremonies performed by Vasudeva. And there was a very instructive paragraph that we read yesterday. So just to remind us those messages, because our tendency is to forget very easily in age of Kali. So I'll repeat and then we will continue. The ordinary conditioned human being may think the conditioned soul who is covered by his materialistic senses, mind and intelligence to be equal to Krishna, pride. But Lord Krishna is just like the sun, which, although it sometimes may appear to be so, is never covered by the cloud, snow or fog, or by other planets even. When the eyes of less intelligent men are covered by such influences, they think the sun to be invisible. Similarly, person influenced by the senses and addicted to material enjoyment cannot have a clear vision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Manoj Kapoor Prabhu can explain very nicely because he's eye doctor. If you want to see clearly, that's what it's required. We have to surrender to Krishna. So the sage present then began to address Vasudeva in the presence of Lord Krishna, Balram, and many other kings. And as requested by him, they give their instructions. So quote, to counteract the reactions of karma or desire impelling one to fruitive activity, one must execute the prescribed sacrifices which are meant for worshipping Lord Vishnu with faith and devotion. Lord Vishnu is the beneficiary of the result of all sacrificial performances. Great personalities and sages who are sufficiently experienced to possess his vision of the three phases of the time element, namely past, present, and future. And those who are able to see everything clearly through the eyes of revealed scriptures have unanimously recommended that to purify the dust of material contamination accumulate in the heart and to clear the path of liberation and thereby achieve transcendental bliss, one must please Lord Vishnu. Wonderful instructions. For everyone in the different social orders, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, who are living as householders, this worship of the Supreme Personality Godhead, Lord Vishnu, who is known as Purushottam, the original person, is recommended as the only auspicious path. So all other considerations that we hear, we know how clear instruction is coming. So we know what is the right thing to do in our life. All conditioned souls within this material world have deep-rooted desire to lord it over the resources of material nature. Everyone wants to accumulate riches. Everyone wants to enjoy life to the greatest extent. Everyone wants a wife, home and children, and everyone wants to become happy in this world and be elevated to the heavenly planet in the next life. But, this is the big word, but these desires are the cause of one's material bondage. Therefore, to get liberation from this bondage, one has to sacrifice his honestly earned riches for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. That's what I was telling the day that Gurudev told me, the honey is money. Unless you use your money in service of God, there is no purification. And this is the same point. The only process to counteract all sorts of material desire is to engage oneself in the devotional service of Lord Vishnu. And in this way, a self-controlled person, we have to become self-controlled, even while remaining in householder life, should give up the three kinds of material desires. Okay, three desire. What is those desire? Namely, desire for acquisitions of material occupancies, opulences. This is the root cause. The enjoyment of wife and children and elevation for the happier life, aspiring to go to the heavenly planets. These are the root cause desire. Eventually, he may give up householder life and accept the renounced order of life, engaging himself completely in the devotional service of the Lord. Everyone, even if born in a higher status of life, as Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaishya, is certainly indebted to the demigods, to the sages, to the forefathers, to living entities, and so on. And in order to liquidate all this debt, one has to perform sacrifice, study the Vedic literature, and generate children in religious household life. This is the duty of a father and mother. If somehow one accepts the renounced order of life without fulfilling this debt, certainly he falls down from his position. Today, you have already liquidated your debt to your forefathers and the sages. Now, by performing sacrifice, you can free yourself from indebtedness to the demigod and thus take complete shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My dear Vasudev, certainly you have already performed many pious activities in your previous lives. Otherwise, how could you be the father of Krishna and Balaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Saintly Vasudeva, after hearing all the sages, offered his respectful obeisances unto their lotus feet. In this way, he pleased the sages and then he elected for them to perform the yajna. When the sages were elected as priests of the sacrifices, they also, in their turn, induced Vasudeva to collect the required paraphernalia for executing the yajna in their place of pilgrimage. Thus, Vasudeva was persuaded to start to perform the yajna, and all the members of the Yadu dynasty took their baths, dressed themselves very nicely, and decorated themselves beautifully, and garlanded themselves with lotus flowers. Vasudeva's wives, dressed with nice garments and ornaments and golden necklaces, approached the arena of sacrifice carrying in their hands the required article to offer in the sacrifice. When everything was complete, there was heard the vibration of mridangas, kongsals, cattle drums, and other musical instruments. Professional dancers, both male and female, began to dance. The sutas and mugdas, who were professional singers, began to offer prayer by singing. The Gandharvas and their wives, whose voices were very sweet, began to sing many auspicious songs. Vasudeva anointed his eyes with collyrium, smeared butter over his body, and then, along with his 18 wives, headed by Devki, sat before the priest to be purified by the Abhishek ceremony. All such ceremonies were observed strictly according to the principle of scriptures, as was done formally in the case of the moon with the stars. Vasudeva, because he was being initiated for the sacrifice, was dressed in deer skin, but all his wives were dressed with very nice saris, bangles, necklace, ankle balls, earrings, and many other ornaments. Vasudeva looks very beautiful, surrounded by his wives, exactly like the king of heaven when he performs such sacrifices. At that time, when Lord Krishna and Lord Balram, along with their cowherd, along with their wives, children, and relatives, sat down in the great sacrificial arena, it appeared that the Supreme Personality Godhead was present along with all his part and parcel living entities and multi-energies. We have heard from the Shastra that Lord Krishna has multi-energies and part and parcels. But now, in that sacrificial arena, all could actually experience how the Supreme Personality of Godhead eternally exists along with his different energies. At that time, Lord Krishna appeared as Lord Narayan and Lord Balram appeared as Sankarshan, the reservoir of all living entities. Vasudeva satisfied Lord Vishnu by performing different kind of sacrifices such as Jyotikshoma, Darsha, Purnamash. Some of these yagnas are called Prakruta and some of them are known as Shoryastra or Vaikrut. Thereafter, the other sacrifices known as Agnihotra were also performed, and the prescribed article were offered in the prayer proper way. In this way, Lord Vishnu became pleased. The ultimate purpose of offering oblations in sacrifice is to please Lord Vishnu. But in this age of Kali, it's very difficult to collect the different articles required for offering sacrifices. people have neither the means to collect the required paraphernalia, nor the necessary knowledge or tendency to offer such sacrifices. Therefore, in this age of Kali, when people are mostly unfortunate, full of anxieties, and disturbed by various kind of calamities, the only sacrifice recommended is the performance of the Sankirtan Yagna, worshipping Lord Chaitanya by his Sankirtan Yagna is the only recommended process in this age. Haribol. After the performance of the different sacrifices, Vasudeva offered ample riches. If you have riches, then and then you can give, right? We don't have anything. We are so miser. Clothing, ornaments, cows, land, and maid servants to the priest. Thereafter, all the wives of Vasudeva, 18 of them, took their avabhruta baths and performed the part of the sacrificial duties known as Patni Samyaja. After finishing the offering with all the required paraphernalia, they all took their baths together in the lakes constructed by Parshuram, which are known as the Ramruda. After Vasudeva and his wives took their bath, all the garments and ornaments which they were distributed to the subordinate persons who were engaged in singing, dancing, and similar activities. We may note that the performance of the sacrifice necessitates the profuse distributions of riches. Haribol. Charity is offered to the priest and the brahmanas in the beginning, and used garments and ornaments are offered in charity to the subordinate assistants after the performance of the sacrifice. After offering the used article to the singers and reciters, Vasudeva and his wives, dressed with new ornaments and dresses, fed everyone very sumptuously, beginning from the brahmanas down to the dogs. After this, all the friends, family members, wives, children of Vasudeva, along with all the kings and members of the Vidarbha, Koshala, Kuru, Kasi, Kekaya, Shunjaya dynasties assembled together. The priests, the demigods, the people in general, the forefathers, the ghost, and the charpas were all sufficiently remunerated by being offered ample gifts and respectful honor. Then all the persons assembled there took permission from Lord Krishna, the husband of the goddess of fortune, and while glorifying the perfection of the sacrifice made by Vasudeva, they departed to their respective homes. At that time, when King Dhritarashtra, Vidura, Yudhishthir, Bhim, Arjun, Bhishmadev, Dronacharya, Kunti, Nakul, Sahadev, Narada, Lord Vyasadeva, and many other relatives and kinsmen were about to part, they felt separation and therefore embraced each and every member of the Yadu dynasty with great feeling. Many others who were assembled in the sacrificial arena also departed. After this, Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram, along with King Ugrasena, satisfied the inhabitants of Vrindavan, headed by Maharaj Anand and the cowherd men, by profusely offering all kinds of gifts in order to worship them and to please them. Out of their great feeling of friendship, The inhabitants of Vrindavan remained there for a considerable time, along with the member of the Yadu dynasty. After performing this sacrifice, Vasudeva felt so satisfied that there was no limit to his happiness. All the members of his family were with him, and in their presence, he caught hold of the hands of Nanda Maharaj and addressed him as follows. My dear brother, the Supreme Personality Godhead has created a great tie of bondage, which is known as the bondage of love and affection. I think it is a very different job for even the great sages and saintly person to cut such a tie of love. My dear brother, you have exhibited feelings of love for me, which I was not able to return. I think, therefore, that I am ungrateful. You have behaved exactly as is characteristics of saintly person, but I shall never be able to repay to you. I have no means to repay you for your friendly dealings. Nevertheless, I am confident that our tie of love will never break. Our relationship of friendship must ever continue. In spite of my inability to repay you, I hope you will excuse me for this inability. What a wonderful wording. He continues, my dear brother, in the beginning, due to my being imprisoned, I could never serve you as a friend. And although at the present moment also, I'm very opulent because of my material prosperity. I have become blind at a ball. I therefore cannot satisfy you properly even at this time. My dear brother, you are so nice and gentle that you offer all respect to others, but you don't care for any respect for yourself. Tranadapi Sumichana, if you want to become a devotee, this quality must arise in our heart. If we are seeking some recognition and respect, that means pride is giving in. This is the beginning of the fall down of our devotional practice. And you have to be extremely careful whom you associate. If you are associating with those personalities, it will sink in that quality in you. So this is, I was talking to Saran Thakur Prabhu yesterday when we were driving. I named some of these people that he should be careful to associate, because the pride is very, very contagious. If you associate with those people, even though are strong, it will come. Like, in my village when I was young, they were saying that we have the cow and buffalo. My father has that. And they say if you put this cow even tied down and stay with the donkey, they may not slap you, but over a time, they can start kicking like a donkey. So we have to be extremely, extremely cautious what we see, what we touch, what we hear, with whom we associate, what we eat. Everything has the influence in our life. Believe me, it has the effect. Okay, let's continue. Vasudeva is continued very nicely, A person seeking for auspicious progress in life must not possess too much material opulence. Haribo. With which this point is keep on coming, huh? And we keep on listening, but what do we don't have? To become blind. Richness makes people blind and popped up. but he should take care of his friend and relatives. Haribo. When Vasudeva was speaking to Nand Maharaj in this way, he was influenced by great feeling for friendship of Nand Maharaj and beneficial activities executed by King Nand on his behalf. As such, his eyes filled with tears, and he began to cry, desiring to please his friend Vasudeva, and being affectionately bound with love for Lord Krishna and Balram. Nand Maharaj passed 3 months in their association. And at the end of this time, all the members of the Yadu dynasty tried to please the inhabitants of Vrindavan to their heart's content. This is what is required. The members of the Yadu dynasty tried to satisfy Nanda Maharaj and his associates by offering them clothing, ornaments, and many other valuable articles, and they all became fully satisfied. Vasudeva, Ugrasena, Lord Krishna, Lord Balram, Uddhava, and all other members of the Yadu dynasty presented their individual gift to Nanda Maharaj and his associates. After Nanda Maharaj received these farewell presentations, he, along with his associates, started for Brajabhumi, Vrindavan. The minds of the inhabitants of Vrindavan remain, however, with Krishna and Balram, and therefore all of them started for Vrindavan without their minds. When the member of the Vrishni family saw all their friends and visitors departing, they observed that the rainy season was approaching, and thus they also decided to return to Dwarka. They were also fully satisfied, for they regarded Krishna as everything. When they returned to Dwarka, they began with great satisfaction to describe the sacrifice performance by Vasudeva and their meeting with various friends and well-wishers and various other incidences which occurred during their travel in place of pilgrimage. This is what we should learn from the eternal associate. They always remember everything, repeating what they saw, what they learned, what they experienced. So their mind always constantly engaged about Lord Sri Krishna. This is the perfection of the life. Thus, end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the second volume, 29th chapter of Krishna, sacrificial ceremonies performed by Vasudeva. So it's 6:52, 3 minutes left. So we will read one paragraph. We begin our journey to chapter number 30, spiritual instructions for Vasudeva and return of the 6 dead sons of Devaki by Lord Sri Krishna. Wonderful. It is a Vedic custom that the junior member of the family should offer respect to the elderly person every morning. Haribo. Teach your children this thing. The children or the disciple especially should offer the respect to the parents or the spiritual master in the morning. In pursuance of this Vedic principle, Lord Krishna and Balram used to offer their obeisances to their father, Vasudeva, along with his wives. One day, after having returned from the sacrificial performance at Kurukshetra, when Lord Krishna and Balram went to offer their respect to Vasudeva, Vasudeva took the opportunity of appreciating the exalted positions of his 2 sons. Vasudeva had the opportunity to understand the position of Krishna and Balram from the great sages who had assembled in the arena of the sacrifices. He not only heard from the sages, but on many occasions he actually experienced that Krishna and Balram were not ordinary human beings, but were very extraordinary. Thus, he believed the words of the sages that his son Krishna and Balram were the supreme personality of Godhead. What a wonderful passage. So, thank you very much. And I think that tomorrow I won't be able to join because I may start driving around 3 o'clock to South Carolina. So, I don't want to join with this car disturbance. There will be a voice comes and everything. So, please pardon me not for joining tomorrow. I will try to record this session so the IT team can play at 3:30 and 4:30. That's my duty. I will perform. But please excuse me. Oh no, tomorrow is Saturday. So there is no meditation. Simply we have to get together and chant the holy name. So I will be missing you, but I will be chanting myself during those times with you all through my heart.